Here at the Apache Helicopter plant in Mesa, Arizona, workers have been preparing the airframe of the AH-64D Longbow helicopter. It's received an armor-plated frame that will protect it in the face of enemy fire. The fuel cells have been shielded with ballistic foam and Kevlar sheets. Now it's time for the fuel tanks to be installed into place. Every Apache comes equipped with 2 rubber fuel tanks. Fail-safe systems are key to the endurance of this machine. Take one out, and there's a backup. When airborne, the 2 fuel tanks will be loaded with 300 gallons of highly flammable jet fuel. But they're not unprotected. The rubber lining contains a special reactive agent that expands on contact with fuel. Should there be a leak, this cell will seal the hole itself. The cell is lifted into place. It's hard work, and the crew must ensure that the fuselage is free of any foreign debris that might puncture the rubber. Now, this mean machine is virtually impenetrable. The armor on the underside of the Apache is so effective that in combat, pilots will even turn their helicopter's belly to face the enemy fire. The underside acts as a shield for craft and crew. But there is one final area that needs serious reinforcement: the flight center of the Apache, the cockpit. The cockpit is a reinforced bulletproof chamber with glass up to 2 inches thick. The bulletproof side windows are surrounded by detonation explosives. In the event of an emergency, pull the trigger and the windows fire out with explosive force, providing a quick exit from the cockpit. The Apache has 2 cockpit sections. The pilot sits in the rear, and the gunner sits in the front. The rear section is raised above the front section so the pilot can see clearly. A transparent acrylic blast shield is mounted between the fore and aft sections, separating the 2 pilots. If one pilot takes a hit, the other can survive and fly to safety.
Each crew member has armor-plated seating, and from here, once you enter the cockpits, you can advance these armored wings, which give pilots enhanced survivability from small arms.
The cheek fairings on either side of the cockpit reduce exposure to ground fire, while providing additional space for avionics equipment. But should the Apache go down, there is one final line of defense. The areas fore and aft of the cockpit are designed to buckle on impact. Like a crumple zone in a car, they absorb the force of collision and carry it away from the crew. The cockpit is the command center of the Apache, giving both pilots instant access to flight, navigation, and weapons data.
We have 3 displays in the front seat, and from here we can see our infrared sensors. We have a moving map that we can see where we're at on the battlefield and where our other teammates are in relation to us. Also, we can coordinate our digital communications so we can send quick packets of information to one another. We can also connect to UAS, or unmanned aerial vehicles, receive their video, and from there we can find and fix the enemy from great distances.
There are 5 different displays and approximately 25,000 different switch combinations available to the pilots. Weapon systems, navigation, radar, communications, aircraft survivability, night sensors, day sensors, Manned and unmanned teaming systems are all at their disposal. To control them, take some high-tech electronics. The electrics start out here, Station 8, the company's electrical strategic manufacturing center, a different room in Boeing's vast Apache plant in Mesa, Arizona. It may not look like a helicopter, but each of these wiring boards is the exact dimensions of an Apache. There are 11 miles of wiring in every Apache longbow, so each wiring harness must be carefully laid out to the correct length and path. The wires are secured together in bundles to make them easier to thread through the Apache. Next job, connecting the cables together. A special heat gun secures and waterproofs each electrical connection. Known as splicing, it's a way of connecting different wiring systems without risking loose connections. One loose connection could mean death for the crew and failure of the mission. Next up, the wings. It may seem odd for a helicopter to have wings, and in fact, the Apache's stubby wings do increase the drag coefficient, reducing the helicopter's aerodynamics, but these wings serve a vital role. They're support brackets for fuel tanks and weapons.
Yeah, it's kind of odd for a helicopter to have wings, but wings on this helicopter help with forward flight, more stability in flight. It also gives a platform to store extra fuel tanks, weapons.
The wings also reduce aircraft-induced vibrations during flight. This makes the weaponry easier to target. To fit the wings, workers use a precision hydraulic lift known as the wing tool.
More?
Yes, please. All right.
The tool holds the wing in place and straight while it's bolted tight.
All right, hold it right there.
It also stops the heavy wing from straining the support pins during installation.
More, right there. Nylon pin. There, you got it. There you go. Nice one. Beautiful.
I'm lowering the wing tool. We just installed the wing with a couple of bolts, and now he's going to get ready to torque those up. I'll go ahead and install the bottom bolts, torque those up also.
Further bolts secure the underside of the wing. A special wrench is used to ensure that the torque is not too tight. Shear the thread off these bolts and the integrity of the helicopter could be jeopardized.
Yeah, bottom one's back on here will be 900. Set it to 900.
All right.
Same as the front.
Still to come, enough sensors and weaponry to make the Terminator jealous. Fire control. And this attack helicopter gets a test flight.